What's up, Titan fans? How we doing? Welcome back to another episode from the What's Up Titans Fans pod, where it is the last and final post-game episode of the season, where the Tennessee Titans lost 23-14 to the Houston Texans to secure that number one draft pick in the upcoming NFL draft. But we're going to get into everything in just a second. But as we're waiting for people to go ahead and gather into the channel, let me go ahead and insert the plug. If you're not following me on YouTube, TikTok, and X, make sure to follow me on all three platforms. The handle's the same no matter where you go. It's the What's Up Titans Fans pod. And I know the schedule's going to be a little different now that the season is over with. I was putting out videos all throughout the week, Monday through Friday, pregame videos, postgame videos, and all this power rankings and everything like that. But now season's over. We got to head into a new schedule, which we'll figure that out as the off season comes into play. But also, I did start streaming on Rumble as well, uploading the videos over to there because, TikTok is getting banned allegedly, at sometime this month, I think before the 20th. So if you use Rumble, go ahead, send me a follow on that as well. I got to post, catch up and post some videos on there that I posted recently to keep that channel up and going. So let's go ahead and dive into things. The Tennessee Titans, as you see right here, we lost 23-14 to the Houston Texans in our Oilers throwback jerseys to the Houston Texans, who always whine, cry, and complain about, the Oilers colors, us having the jerseys and everything like that, even though they didn't support the team. That's why the team left and came to Tennessee, even though right now it's looking like we're having a tough time supporting it. We have the stadium's half empty at these games because the games are so miserable to watch. I sit here and I try to watch the games. I try to do watch parties and stuff, but it's so hard. The team is so hard to watch. I sit here and do it, though. I watch it. I watch every single play, every single game to sit here, get the content, to bring it to you. But it is a difficult watch because the team is just bad. We're in a dark place right now. But luckily, we got the number one pick. So it does give us some hope going into next season because this season we did have a lot of hope coming into it, right? Brand new coach, modernized offense, brand new players. A lot of the players ended up not working out. We had a few that worked out pretty good on the offensive side. You had you had Tony Pollard come in. He had a good season. Calvin Ridley had a good season as well. Wide receiver, he got his 1,000 yards, hit his incentives, everything like that. But that's basically what it seemed like we were playing for this game. This game did not look like we were going out there to try to win. We were going out there to try to hit incentives for these players. I mean, Pollard came in and played, even though, he had a busted up ankle. He missed last week, but he was wanting to hit that incentive to get that extra amount of money. That's what this game was about. It had nothing to do with us trying to get out there and get a win. But we had all that disappointment, though, from these other players that we got in the offseason that we thought was going to do something for us, right? Snead, disappointment this year. Only played in a few games. Same thing with Awuzie. Didn't see him much at the end of the season when it didn't really matter. So, yeah, it was a little tough for us over there. Then, all right, so then, even other players on defense that we got was a little disappointing. I mean, we drafted Cedric Gray, didn't see him. We got Diggs. He was hurt most of the season. We got Jamal Adams. Where was he at? He was gone. So we did have some issues, coming into this season with these players that we thought was going to be good. But now, everything's out of the closet. We see what's going on with this team. We know who we are, and we are the number one draft picking team in the NFL, the worst team in the NFL. But as you see, we lost 23-14, no question about it. We can go ahead and look at the play-by-play, see how we started this game. It was tough from the start, right at the beginning of the game when our guys were fresh. They went out there. They had their number ones playing that first drive. They had C.J. Stroud out there and everything. They just drove right down our throats. 11 plays, 69 yards. Ended up getting a touchdown right off the bat. They were nickel and diming down the field. I mean, every play. It wasn't even nickel. That was like almost 10 yards a play. It was crazy. It was crazy what was going on. But we get the ball. Of course, we go 3 and out, only gain 2 yards. Punt the ball. Then we actually stopped them once. They did 6 plays, but then we get the ball back doing absolutely nothing. We tried to pad some stats in garbage time, But, after that first drive, they took C.J. Stroud out of the game. So it's not like we were versing their number ones. They didn't have their best runner back out there mixing. They're out there playing Pierce. They had Davis Mills out there, and we couldn't do nothing against their backups. But, yeah, we punt the ball. Then they get it. Like, they had that one big play, 92 yards, Pierce, right up the middle, just gutting us right up the middle. That's wild. Backup runner back did that to us. But it's partially because our safeties, right? They get there to get to that second level. We have no safeties back there. I mean, we got Mike Brown and Worley, two guys that we weren't even going to think was going to make the team in the offseason. When you look at the roster we had at safety, the secondary back there at the start of the season, when we're talking about Diggs, Adams, Hooker, all them back there at safety. Now, last game of the season, even all the games leading up to the end of the season, last few games, none of them, all of them's hurt, injured, or off the team. It's wild right now. But yeah, so we have no safety help, so they are able to break a 92-yarder on us, run it all the way down the field. We get the ball back, trying to respond. We go 3 plays, -4 yards. Doesn't look like anything's happening on offense. At this point, Levis was still in the game at this point, so we still had Levis, and I know they were swapping the quarterbacks in and out throughout the game, but then they get the ball, they punt it. We try getting it back, 3 plays, 6 yards. Then what happens? They fumble the ball. So we are able to execute off the fumble. We get a field goal, and then they get one before the half. So we're losing 16-3. At this point, you basically know the game's over. It's been the same stuff all year, especially in the second half. We typically don't make good adjustments in the second half. We normally come out at the beginning of the game, and we have a pretty good 10-15 plays that are scripted good. But as you see for us, at the beginning of the game, the scripted plays wasn't working. We had nothing to work with. But then the second half, we get the ball coming out. We were actually able to come down the field, kick a field goal. We drove 53 yards. They went through turnover on downs after 12 plays, which I think that's when they made it all the way down to like the 1 yard line or something like that. We drove down the field some. Then they had that crazy play where a fumble return for a touchdown. Their big man picked it up. Just, I don't know. What was his name? Barnett. Barnett picked it up, ran down the field, did like a somersault into the end zone, flipped into the end zone for a tutty. And I think it was Mason Kinsey was trying to take this man down. He's too small of a guy. Mason Kinsey was out there trying to do something. Couldn't do it, wasn't working. So, hey, that ends that drive. Then we had another play, turnover on downs. They punt, we punt, they punt. Boom, we score at the end of the game on just a play that I think the defender thought he was going to intercept the ball. He was sitting there, trying to catch it like a punt. And then next thing you know, our dude, a receiver we haven't seen all year, Tay Martin, don't even really know who this guy is, another no-name guy, but he ended up catching it, taking it basically out of the dude's breadbasket for a touchdown for 49 yards, and that ends the game. But overall, this was a game we had to lose. We had to lose this game because look at this. If we would have won, we would have been probably like the 5th, 6th pick or something like that. So we definitely had to lose this game. Now we got the number 1 pick. We can revamp our team, our franchise, because you see the games right now. The stadium's about half empty. It's ridiculous at this point. And as we got a new stadium being built, it's going to be here, I think, 2027. We need to have a spark. I know you have the opportunity to get a veteran QB like a Sam Darnold, Aaron Rodgers, or something like that. But there's so much hype right now with Shedeur Sanders. And the NFL is about making money, right? It's a business. That's what this league is about, right? It's a business. That's how come we, especially the Tennessee Titans, we try to shortchange players, and they end up going other places, because we don't pay them. I mean, A.J. Brown wanted a little bag, and what happened? Now he's an Eagle, and he's one of the best receivers in the NFL for the Eagles instead of for us. So, it is a business. But if we get Shedeur Sanders, it would revamp a lot of emotion for this team. A lot of fans that, are looking towards some type of spark right now because, we can't go into the season next year with Will Levis and or Mason Rudolph or one of these veterans that, is only going to be here for like a year or two. And they really don't provide you, much hope, for the future. It's going to be, you could get a Kirk Cousins or something like that super cheap because the Falcons are paying a majority of his contract. But what's it going to do for you? You might get, 5 or 6 wins, but You need somebody who's going to at least provide that spark, a new young quarterback like Shador. He has the hype. He could bring fans into the fan base, energize the fan base. That way, this stadium, when it does get built, we will actually have fans in the stands, because you don't want to have a brand new stadium that's half empty. I mean, that's basically what it is right now. The stadiums are half empty for the Tennessee Titans. They're just a bad watch. But let's go ahead and see the box score, see how we did across the board. As you know, for the season, Will Levis and Mason Rudolph before this game, they were basically neck to neck. They were both even with interceptions and touchdowns. Their passer rating was basically even on the season. Everything looked even their average yards per completion was the same. It was like 6.3 yards, a completion. So these guys, you don't get much of a difference when it comes from Mason Rudolph to Will Levis. But for the game, Mason Rudolph, you see him 9 of 17, 175 yards. So he did get some more yards. He got more yards per play. He got the tutty. And, they both got sacked one time for this game. So, it was a decent day. So, overall, 16 of 26, 229 yards, almost 10-yard average, one touchdown, only 2 sacks. Line was able to hold out. But like I said, we're playing their backup guys, As you see, this is where it hurts a lot. Their rushing game for them, 29 carries, 270 yards. Pierce was tearing us up. One of these, over half the yards came from one play, right? He had the 92-yard rush that really boosted his average to a 9.3. But you take that away, he still has a crazy average. He still almost got 100 yards on us. Meanwhile, on our side, we had 32 carries. We rushed the ball more than they did, but we only had 85 yards total in rush and 2.7-yard average. That is tough. It's hard to get out there and win the game when you can't rush the ball. We had our offensive line, they were struggling to block anybody for the day. So that's just where it is right there. And, of course, for receiving, we see some familiar faces. We got Robert Woods over here. Hate to see it. He's over here. He's looking better than he did as a Tennessee Titans. But Nico Collins, he was lighting us up when he was in there playing. Same thing with Schultz. And at the end of the game, we got to see John Michie catch a couple passes. And he did have a drop toward the end. For us, dude, 16 receptions for us, 245 yards. We were trying to feed, really trying to get him those incentives. He eventually got it. He needed like 60-something yards on the season. He got his incentives. That's what we was working on today, trying to get these boys paid. I think that was the only goal of this game. We had a couple fumbles, for the game. One loss. They had one loss as well. As you see, our safety, Worley, was our leading tackler. Like these guys coming into the season, it's like, who are these guys, right? This was not our starters. Worley, he was supposed to be a practice squad player. Guilford, special teams player. Awuzie, yes, he was supposed to do well for us, but he missed like half the season. James Williams, he's a rookie that was playing safety. Now he's a linebacker. And then you got Mike Brown. Come on. I mean, we're just so beat up and players just not playing. James Lynch, like, come on. Like, why are these guys, like, our main guys playing? I mean, coming into the season, this isn't the roster that we had together. You see it with the injuries or players leaving, like Jamal Adams and stuff like that. And some of these, I think, guys are just not wanting to play. I mean, it's the last game of the season. There's nothing to play for. If you don't have the incentives to play for, you weren't gonna play. Like, you think Ridley would have been out there playing if he didn't have to meet the incentives that was in his contract? He was trying to get paid. That's why he was out there, and he played a lot of snaps. He was out there basically the entire game for 3 catches for 76 yards. That's what we're working with, chat. But yes, so we finished the season. Now, if you look at the standings right here, we finished the season 3-14, bottom of the division, last in the division, and guess what? It's last in the league. I mean, we got the number 1 draft pick in the NFL. The season can't get much worse. I mean, next year we can only go up, right? We can only go up from here. It can't get much worse. So hopefully this next year we get to see Brian Callahan, get more of the roster he's wanting to get. I mean, bad years happen. The first year with Dan Campbell, bad year happened. He only won like 3 games in his first year, and now look at him. He's the NFC champions, or I don't want to say champions, but the NFC number 1 seed, right? He's gonna go and get the bye week, and that's after having a terrible terrible first year. So that's what we have to do. We have to turn it around, let him have time to develop this roster, get the players he wants, get a quarterback that can fit his system. Hopefully, it's Shador. Hopefully we don't go out, get a old quarterback like a Kirk Cousins or something, and end up drafting a lineman or something with the first round pick, or trading back and drafting a lineman. We worked too hard to get this first round pick. I mean, a miserable season. We worked too hard to try to get a first, the first pick of the draft, just to either trade back or draft an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman. That's like the last thing I want to do. So we'll see how that goes. But that's going to wrap it up for today's episode, chat. So like I said, if you're not following, make sure you follow me. Like the video. It helps the channel out. And of course, if you have any thoughts or anything about the Tennessee Titans or this offseason, go ahead and leave that comment down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tighten up, baby.